What's up, everyone? How's it going? And welcome back. It's the lovely one over here in Southern California. I'm chilling out over here at my house because I am lazy. Just one of those lazy days, enjoying my weekend. I hope you're enjoying yours as well. On today's vlog, I'll be sharing some information and some photos and old footage of the historic Virginia Dare Winery that's in Rancho Cucamonga, California, that sits on the northwest corner of Foothill and Haven, once known as the Mission Vineyard Winery, founded by John Klausman back in 1908. And I'll be sharing some information with you and some historical facts. Without further ado, let this vlog begin. The Mission Vineyard Winery, founded by John Klausman, a German immigrant who opened up the winery with business partner Morton Post in 1908. The winery was to reflect the architectural likes of the Mission Inn located in Riverside, California. Cucamonga, meaning sandy places, was nothing but vast fields for miles, and the first vineyards were planted in 1839 on the northwest corner of Foothill and Haven. The winery was originally called the Mission Vineyard Winery, but just 2 years after opening, John Klausman sold the operation to the Garrett & Company in 1910. Garrett & Company changed the name to the Virginia Dare Winery, naming the winery after the very first English-born child, Virginia Dare. With 1,000 acres of vineyards, it became the second largest winery in the world, the first being the Blvd Winery in Ontario. By 1911, production was in full swing. Then came Prohibition. From 1922 to 1933, the winery doubled in sales since each head of household was allowed to make up to 200 gallons of wine each year for use at home, since most Americans cooked with it. It also increased the sales of wine grapes drastically. An interview in 1984 with Sam Elder, who started working at the winery in 1929 until closing in 1960, said, "During Prohibition, we stayed in business making Sacramento wine. We had a government agent at the winery called a gauger to monitor our compliance with federal regulations." Prohibition ended in 1933, and some years later, World War II began. During the Second War, Virginia Dare contributed to the war by supplying pumice from the crushed grapes that was then used by the government for making explosives. After the war, into the early 50s, most wineries were disappearing or were abandoned, and the Virginia Dare here in Cucamonga was one of those abandoned wineries. The winery shut down in 1960, leaving behind the remnants of one of the largest wineries in the world. After surviving multiple fires and major vandalism, in 1984, the city of Rancho Cucamonga restored the winery, calling it the Virginia Dare Winery Business Park.